here, so we have a lot of confidence. We're getting a good sample of the storm as we look at it up there. Let's check it out with our three-dimensional tool. Or actually, we're just going to do a slice here real quick because one of the things that I'm going to look for as we continue the coverage here is whether or not we're getting debris or anything like that lofted. That's another way we can tell what's going on. I wanted to do a quick reset just to let you know that the Evansville area, Western Kentucky, you are not in this particular situation. This is strictly Southern Illinois and Southwest Indiana where we have that tornado warning right now, okay? But because we have a tornado warning, potential deadly situation here, we're going to stay with you. And if you're in the path of the storm, I'm going to list some cities off here again in a moment. You need to be in the basement or away from windows, a small interior room in your house, and stay put until we give you the all clear, which will likely come here in about the next half hour or so. There's that area that it's really starting to wind up tight. It's out to the east now of Belmont and south of Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel, you need to be in the basement now as this storm moves through. Of course, this area not a stranger to tornadoes and severe weather. The arrival time there, 9:43 at Mount Carmel. Little Rock at 10:57. Hall, this is getting up into Knox County perhaps. That's why those times are so late. Schrott Station is another spot there at 9:36. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued downstream of this one. So let's go back and just look at velocity data. And again, that is a really intense area of circulation right here to the south of Mount Carmel. Distance-wise, we're talking, if this is downtown Mount Carmel there by the high school, only about 3 miles away. So you've just got, a minute or two to get into safe spot, but you do need to do that quickly because it is moving right along. And as we look at the last 30 minutes of data, you can see it just kind of coming together and shooting up toward the Wabash River there to the south of Mount Carmel. If you are in Mount Carmel now, you need to be in your tornado safe place, which is in a basement or a windowless interior room. You should abandon mobile homes if you have time. It's probably a little late to do that, and you need to remain there until the storm has passed. Also, you can listen to our coverage. We are streaming on Facebook. But you can also listen on 104 FM WIKY, our radio partners over there across the street, and you can stay in there. If you have reports, too, you can send them to us at 14news.com. Go to our webpage, navigate to the send us your photo and video, and then right here, you just hit the green button and upload your photos or video. It's helpful for us to know what's going on. In a house, you want to get to the lowest level possible. So, of course, we talk about the basement all the time. Not everybody has one. In that case, you want to get into the central portion of your home. Maybe it's a bathroom or a spot under the steps, and that's where you want to stay. This is the position you should get in, down low, protecting your head. And again, we're talking mainly about Mount Carmel and Wabash County, and you know the drill, of course, for other places like schools and employers and that on where to go. Looks like we've added yet another tornado warning, so we're going to go back up to the area here that's at highest risk, and we have 3 tornado warnings right now. So they've added a couple here, and these are embedded tornadoes perhaps in that little squall line that's coming across Wabash County right now. Can't emphasize enough, Allendale, Lancaster up here in the north down to Patton, and then of course Mount Carmel we've mentioned many times. You need to be in the shelter now and stay put until we give you the all clear. Also Knox County there, southwestern Knox County, you now are under a tornado warning too. Let's go back to the velocity tool. You can see that strongest couplet. Boy, that is really intense. They're now moving into Mount Carmel. Wouldn't surprise me to see or to receive some reports of damage there around Mount Carmel in Wabash County. We're looking now at the debris information that the radar collects. And out here, this is a noisy picture, I know, and what I'm looking for is greens and then down to blues. And you do see something here that would be in conjunction with where the tornado signature was as well. So we are at least potentially showing debris in the air now just to the south of Mount Carmel. And we're only talking about, if you go right from downtown there, right from the bridge, only about a mile away. This is still radar indicated, but all indications here on the radar are that we potentially have some debris being lofted here just to the south of Mount Carmel. Let's look at our slice tool here, and what I'm going to look for is bright returns here on the radar that are coming up and potentially showing us where we would have lofted debris. And we're not seeing it too clearly at this range right now. Let's try our 3D tool instead, and that might give us a little better fix on what's happening here in Mount Carmel. Again, we're very close. Everything is close to the radar right now, so it kind of obliterates some of the returns, but that is some pretty intense wind that we're showing now just right over Mount Carmel and then moving out to the north and to the east at about 50 miles an hour. The other tornado warnings up there are also blinking, so let's kind of give you the information on all of those. I've been focusing on Mount Carmel. That is our most populous city in Wabash County. We don't want to forget Lancaster up here, though, and also St. Francisville. And then across Knox County, that would be Decker right down here at the truck stop, and then down into the river bottoms there, and perhaps up to St. Thomas, which would be still south of Vincennes. All these tornado warnings, by the way, are radar indicated. And they are based on the things that I just showed you. So we have had, just in the last 30, 40 minutes, a real intensification of these storms as they've come into Gibson County. So that warning for Gibson and Wabash goes until 10. The one for Knox County will go until 10:15. That'll be Central Time, 11:15 in Vincennes. And then finally, the other tornado warning there in northern Wabash County will go until 10 as well. A lot to show you here, so let's clear that off, and we will go back to a couple of these individual cells that we're looking at. And again, just for perspective, Evansville, the metro area, is in the clear right now. This is going to pass to the north, but if you're in Princeton, Fort Branch, Francisco, any place here in Gibson County, and particularly right along the White River, you need to be in your tornado safe place now until this storm passes. The lightning strikes should be a tell, as we've had an increase, a very rapid increase in electrical action here in these storms, about 40 strikes alone just in the last 10 minutes here in southern Wabash County. So there is plenty going on here to be concerned with. The newest scan has come in, so let's just start at the top here and we'll work our way down. And we're looking at the northern portion of Wabash County. So this is up by County Road 2200, Allendale out here to the east. And that particular area not really showing as much of a couplet, right? Green and red together. It's just mainly straight line winds up there, but they could quickly escalate into a tornado type situation, or at least damaging winds. And then our other signature now has cleared Mount Carmel. It's across the river. It'd be out here out about 4 miles to the north of Lyles Station, and is moving now toward Hazleton here along the Wabash River. Again, I'm looking at this bright area of returns here along the White River, still showing 50, 60 mile per hour winds. But again, if this is a spinning type situation, then we have that going on in addition to some very heavy rain too. Down at Lyles, we're also showing strong winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour. And then the tornado warnings, of course, are still out ahead of where these storms are moving across the Wabash River. Let's move the radar out just one notch here so we can kind of get a little cleaner picture of what's happening. And right now, the lead edge of the storm has not quite made it to Highway 41 yet. So if you're in Princeton and Fort Branch, you still have a few minutes here to get in your safe place. Let's do some new times of arrival here because we have new data. It just came down there. You might have seen the little jump there on the screen. So everything's moving east at 50, and we'll start tracking this line from the south, we'll just work our way up to the north. So this means now that we could expect damaging wind gusts in Princeton at 9:52. So that's about 8 minutes from now. Francisco at 9:59. And then Spurgeon and Rumble there by 11:08 and 11:11. Then to the north of that, we'll just continue to draw cones on here, and some of these cities are going to light up many times in a row. Oatesville at 10:04. There you see Princeton, Francisco again between about 9:50 and 10 o'clock. So you need to be buttoned up in your shelter now in Princeton, even though the tornado warning there is a little farther north of you. And finally, we'll do one more little swath here back to the east of Mount Carmel, and that portion of damaging wind gusts will reach Hazleton at 9:54. So that's coming right up the pike. Decker at 10:57 in Knox County, and then we have Willis at 11:08 and Petersburg way over here at 11:11. Okay, now we have some new information to show here. You see this purple here with the stripes underneath. That indicates that the tornado has been observed and is now of greater concern. Not that a tornado warning is not, but the tornado warning here that has gone purple on us is in southern Knox County, and we will get that information on the screen for you here, hopefully. And if not, we'll move it around. There we go. All right, well, let's just clear that off completely. And the warning that I'm trying to query there is for Knox County. This was an observed tornado. People in the path of this storm, about 273 of you there in Decker, Monroe City, mainly south areas of Knox County. Let's back the radar out one notch, and we'll get hopefully a little cleaner picture there for you. So the purple indicating an observed tornado. Remember that tight couplet that we showed you a moment ago and potential debris aloft? That must have been verified by somebody on the ground, and that is why the warning has gone purple. The other warning, tornado warning that was in effect for Mount Carmel, has cleared. Mount Carmel, you are now safe to come out of your shelter. And up here around Lancaster and Allendale, we still have about 8 to 10 minutes left on that tornado warning. But the purple one there is the greatest concern because that would indicate that we have an actual tornado going on. Let's go back to our velocity information. And again, looking just at the shape of the warning here, right in the middle of it is likely where we have that strong rotation going on. Let's check our storm reports. Maybe we have something that has come in here just while I've been on the air. I don't see any just yet, but sometimes these are a little bit delayed in coming in. So we will go back to that in a couple of minutes. Back to the main screen here, we're going to go back to just reflectivity, which is rain. And that shows, of course, where we have not only strong to heavy winds, but also very heavy rainfall coming down as well. Velocity, though, is kind of the golden standard here as we are trying to look for the tornado within that tornado warning here in Knox County. So I'm going to zoom in a lot tighter here than we've gone. And what I'm seeing, we have the strongest winds down here right. This would just be north of Hazleton there, where the railroad bridge comes across. Or actually, this is Hazleton back here. This is down to the southwest of Hazleton. There you go. Now we're starting to see that return. So that's about 5 miles, 4 to 5 miles southwest of Hazleton. The picture that we're looking at is showing wind potential there of 70 to 80 miles per hour based on the color here that we're looking at. And let's see if we have any debris showing up as well. And we do see at least the potential for some lofted debris. Again, we're looking for lighter colors here, greens down to blues, and grouped together. And it has to be in conjunction with a couple of features on the map here. First of all, the notch in the reflectivity, and then finally where we have the strongest winds right now. So what to make of all this? You need to be in a safe place, obviously. If you're in Hazleton right now, if you're in Monroe City, any place in southern Knox County, you are at risk right now and will be here for about the next 15 to 20 minutes as this part of the storm works along the Wabash River there just to the north of Hazleton. This is a similar path, if you will, to the tornado from June the 2nd of 1990. Some of you may be old enough to remember that, and it basically just tracked right along this same path. I'm not saying this is as strong as that one, but we are definitely seeing some strong to intense winds, and we have had a reported tornado in this area. So the best thing to do is to get into a safe place and remain there until we give you the all clear. Still showing some pretty intense winds of 73 and higher, now moving into Hazleton. I want to back the radar out just one notch, and then we'll do a new storm track here. Again, this is from Hazleton, and then you're looking at Highway 41 here, so Decker would be on the other side. This is sort of the boot of Knox County. Monroe City back here at the other end of that tornado warning. Again, this is an observed tornado that is now moving to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So we're going to take that a little higher here actually to illustrate what's going on. It looks like we have a new warning coming in too. I'll get to that one in a moment. So we're looking at Hazleton now, 9:53. That's 3 minutes from now. That strongest wind will be over you. Then into Vollmer at 10:56. Willis at 11:05. We've crossed into the Eastern Time Zone there, into Knox County. Palmyra at 11:09. And Washington at 11:18. Let's clear that off. I thought I saw there's so much going on the radar right now. It's kind of hard to see where we have the warning. There's still the new tornado warning has just come in here, it looks like, for Lawrence County. And that one also continues until 10:15. Now that one is radar indicated, but the environment is the same all along this line, or at least in this area. So any of these could spin up pretty quickly and create damaging winds or a tornado. Again, the purple with the stripes moving in there indicates that a spotter or law enforcement, somebody has confirmed a tornado in here. So this is a much higher priority than the radar indicated, and you need to be taking this extremely seriously as this moves to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Looks like now we have a new tornado warning, and this one is flashing red, so we don't have confirmation on this portion anymore, but we will check the new information that has just come in here on that one, and I'm assuming that will be radar indicated as well. And that tornado warning for southern Knox County will go until 11:15. So this is areas just north of the White River. That does not include Pike County at this point. Monroe City, you need to be on alert. And as we look just at I'm going to track from a couple of things, but we're going to start just with the heaviest rainfall potentially there. And as that moves to the north, at about 50 miles an hour, we're still seeing some of those cities and towns there, like Decker at 10:55, Willis at 11:07, and then Steen at 11:15. I'm going to move the cone just a little bit here to the north as that turns that way. And still the same general towns are showing up there. Verne at 11:08, Steen, Washington in Davies County, potentially at 11:22. And the remainder of the tri-state is in the clear right now. In Evansville, about the only thing you're probably seeing, if you go and look to the north, you're going to see a lot of lightning up there. And these storms are towering up pretty quickly, as I showed you there on our cross-sectional view. So they do have all the ingredients they need to produce, at bare minimum, damaging wind gusts, but also the quick spin-up tornadoes are occurring up there too. And we'll get zeroed back in on here. We don't want to neglect the severe thunderstorm warning there, which is also in effect for Gibson County. That includes Princeton. The heaviest rains are now moving through Princeton. Same warning that was in effect there for extreme northern Vanderburgh County. We're talking about, it looks like Boonville, New Harmony, or maybe the next road up, which would be Baseline. So areas north of Baseline Road up to the county line there, and then of course you have the truck stop here at 41 and 64. Those strong winds will be coming across that area very soon. And as we switch over now to the wind mode, you can see the gust front, the strongest or the brightest reds there have already passed Princeton. And we were showing, at least at one time, 70-mile-an-hour winds potentially, but 50 to 70 would certainly be a reasonable guess here based on what's going on this evening, and then maybe lesser amounts of wind as you head a little farther south of the line. It's pretty compact, though. It's all up here, basically between I-64 and Vincennes, and will be moving east. So if you're watching us in Pike County right now, back here in Petersburg, Winslow, Davies County up around Washington, you certainly need to be prepared to move to shelter if we give a warning for you. These other severe thunderstorm warnings are about halfway done. A couple of these are going to drop off here at 10 o'clock. So the best advice, obviously, is to just put your severe weather plan into action and get in a safe spot. Keep listening to us either on the radio or here on TV. We also are streaming our coverage on Facebook, so you have a number of ways that you can stay abreast of the weather. North of I-64 is where the action is. South of I-64, not so much. In fact, very little rain has fallen today from Mount Vernon to Evansville. Western Kentucky completely out of this particular event. This is all concentrated now right along and now east of Highway 41. The next question mark will be whether or not we see warnings downstream of these, and that would include Pike and maybe northern Warwick County, as those winds get a little more wound up and organized. And this is kind of interesting. I wanted to look at this a little closer because we're seeing some of these bright returns again showing up here, in particular between Princeton and Francisco. I'll give you some roads too. So we have, here's I-69 over here. We're still a couple, 3 miles from that. But that spot right up to the northeast of Princeton is showing wind speeds. We'll have to check that approximately. We'll just try to get a number in there, 55 to 60 miles per hour, and even now moving between Princeton, Fort Branch, and Hobstadt down here, some pretty intense wind coming across Highway 41. Don't know if folks are listening to us on the radio in the car, but on Highway 41, if you're driving north, you'd want to stop there at 64 or Fort Branch or pull off, because these are going to be the kind of winds that certainly a high-profile vehicle like a truck or something could get knocked over. And then coming in from the north, you just want to hold short there in Vincennes and wait this one out as the winds move to the east. Let's see how this thing has evolved, and it is accelerating somewhat as it moves to the east, which may indicate the storm is kind of collapsing and sending all of that wind out. That's a good thing because the storm then is collapsing, but of course the bad thing is we could see some wind damage as a result. We'll clear those numbers off there. They're a little distracting, and let's move out a notch just so we can get kind of the broader view of what's happening. Still a tornado warning. We don't want to forget that. That is radar indicated now just for that southern strip of Knox County along and just north of the White River. Okay, there's our new severe thunderstorm warning now, and that one will include Pike County. Not really a huge surprise here, and that's the siren you're hearing behind me right now. So the tornado warning for Knox County will go until 10:15 Evansville time, and then our newest warning here just issued will include Pike and also eastern Gibson County, and that will go until 10:30 local time, 11:30 in Pike County because you're in eastern time. So that's what's happening up there. Let's get some storm tracks going here so we can give you arrival times, and we're going to start in northern Pike County. Again, all this stuff moving to the east at about 50. So into Petersburg at 11:08, Rogers at 11:12, Veal at 11:15. That is in Davies County. Washington at 11:18, and then Ireland in Du Bois County at 11:26. And then a little farther down the line here, and some of these cities are going to be duplicated. You see White Oak there at 11:17, Otwell out by Pike Central High School, 10:21, and there's Ireland showing up again. And then finally, on the more southern flank down here, it will reach into perhaps Oakland City at 10:06, Stendal at 11:19, and then Selvin at 10:23. It's a little confusing because we're straddling time zones here, so you've got arrival times that are an hour apart, but you know who you are and what your time is wherever you happen to be. So just know that these things are still holding their strength and will move in over the next 30 minutes there across southwest Indiana. We're going to stay with the coverage here a little bit longer. Obviously, we've got a newscast. Oh, we're already into the newscast, aren't we? It's after 10. So we will continue with the coverage here, looking at southwest Indiana. And I want to clear everything off the board here just to show you that the storms that we have been on the air with here continuously now for about 40 minutes are still holding their strength, and they're moving to the northeast, away from the Evansville area. This is one of those situations where our most populated areas, like Evansville, Owensboro, Henderson, not seeing a thing other than the lightning to the north, but those of you up north of I-64 are getting quite a storm right now. We have a new tornado warning in as well, and that one I believe is in southern Knox County. It is right in here, and as that moves toward Monroe City, that will be a concern over the next 15 to 20 minutes. Let's look at our velocity. We do have the interceptor heading up Highway 41 right now, I believe. We're going to get a location on him in just a second. I do want to emphasize here a new tornado warning. This is for southern Knox County. Includes Monroe City, Verne, and a couple of other towns here. We're going to give you a storm track in just a second. But those winds are really accelerating as that storm moves to the north. And a quick storm track here will show you that things are going to the northeast at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. So we're going to make that cone really big, and that will get this into Monroe City here in about 9 minutes, into Steen at about 11:15, and then into Washington at 11:22. Looks like the interceptor is heading, I believe that's north, and if we can take that shot live, you can see the lightning. Thank you. You can see the lightning there off on the northern horizon. Looks like he's out sort of by the airport, I believe. I can't really... Yeah, okay. So we, anyway, we're heading up there to see what's going on within that part of the storm, but this is certainly concerning here this evening for those of you in Gibson and now Pike and southern Knox counties. And we're going to go back here to the other picture. And actually, let's look at the lightning here for just a moment, and we'll switch that over. Our lightning strike count has increased, and that's always a sign that the storms are intensifying, and in particular, they're increasing down here to the southwest of Princeton. In fact, if we just do a little, actually, let's zoom back in on that. Kind of hard to tell exactly where we need to be, but let's look down here. So we're going to turn our lightning strikes on, and just back here, this is from Poseyville back to the Wabash River and into southern Illinois. We've had 93 strikes that have hit the ground just in the last 10 minutes, and then to the north where the wind now is dominating, not as much lightning, so that's kind of an interesting development there. Of course, the winds are pushing out. What we may be looking at in the north here is a storm that is kind of at the end of its life, and to determine that, we can use a little time lapse here. We're going to look at the 3D view of it here, and then we'll just put a loop on and take the tool off, and you can see how this storm has evolved. A little bit taller and a little more electrical about 30 minutes ago, and now it has started to kind of die down. But as it does that, as I mentioned, you have this collapse of cold air coming down, and pushing wind out in all directions. Sometimes that creates what we call a microburst or downburst, and those can be just as destructive as a tornado. They can produce that kind of wind. Our tornado warnings, they're tinier now, and they are within the severe thunderstorm warning, so it gets a little complicated here to look at, but we're going to do our best to show you exactly what's happening up here in our northern counties here. This is southern Knox County, so we have a tornado warning up to the Wabash River in Lawrence County, just back to the west of Vincennes. Vincennes, you've had nickel and dime-size hail earlier today. And then we have this second tornado warning, which is actually there around Monroe City in Knox County. Now that still has about 11 more minutes to go on that one. So as those storms move to the north, they will be pushing out of the region. The other area now of strong winds is moving into Pike County. And as we mentioned before, a lot of the wind that we've had this evening has been on the order of 40 to 60 miles per hour with some higher gusts. This lead edge of the rainfall is coincident probably with the lead edge of the heaviest or strongest winds, and that's from Petersburg. And then you basically draw a line straight down I-69 there to about the Oakland City exit would be a route right in here. And so you have that strong wind that's going to be coming across I-69 and then moving on into the central portion there of Pike County. So let's do a track from near Petersburg right now, which is where the strongest winds are showing up on our radar. That wind area, damage potential, will reach Petersburg at 11:08, or is in Petersburg now, then on out to Arda at 11:11, Veal at 11:18, Waco at 11:28, and Reeve at 11:34. Farther down the line, and this will take us through central Pike County, so places like Arthur Junction, Winslow, Otwell, where the high school is there, Millersport, Ireland, Portersville, all at risk there for getting some damaging wind gusts as this storm moves through at about 55 to 60 miles an hour. We are simulcasting our coverage not only on Facebook, but we're streaming it there and also on our website, 14news.com. We are also on the radio right now on 104 FM WIKY, and we will continue, of course, with our coverage on all platforms as we go through the next few minutes here of coverage. If you have reports, by the way, the quickest way to get them to Jackie and our news department is to go to 14news.com. When you get there, go up here and navigate to the send us your photos and videos selection, and then you just click that green thing and you can send video, or you can also send regular still pictures and we can show them here on the air. Going back to our warnings now, and I just wanted to show a plot that shows where the warnings are in effect. North of I-64, a couple of tornado warnings embedded in there, and now new severe thunderstorm warnings just issued. That'll cover Davies and also Martin counties. Now those are out of our viewing area. Knox County, some of you watch this in Vincennes. It kind of goes either way between us and Terre Haute, but we will continue our coverage here at least until we get those tornado warnings cleared out. Since they are right on the fringe of our viewing area, we may have some folks up there needing that information and trying to see what's going on. So as we get a nice tight view again here, if you're in Washington now, those strong winds, heavy rain, possible hail will be moving your way in about 10 to 12 minutes. So time to take cover there in Washington in Davies County, and then as it moves on across into Martin County and out of our area, it'll cross on into central Indiana. And then across Pike County, of course, the next one in line here would be Du Bois, and it wouldn't surprise me to see a warning yet for Du Bois County. These are some arrival times, again, if the storm holds together, for damaging wind gusts and very heavy rainfall. Jasper would be 11:28. That's a late storm, and it's going to be hard to see. Other than the lightning, there's just not a lot out there to really give you the heads up other than the coverage here that we're providing on the TV station. All right, now we have some reports in. Let's see what the tornado report was from Mount Carmel, and that was damage reported to the high school. Many trees down there in Mount Carmel, and they're checking on home damage. There have been multiple touchdowns, according to law enforcement there around Mount Carmel, across the southern side of town, and that report just came in about 15 to 18 minutes ago. So that kind of gives us a little more weight to what we're looking at here this evening, and that is also the newest report that we've had too. I wanted to do a real quick scan for flash flooding. I don't think we're going to see any flood warnings out there. We don't, so we're going to go on back here to our regular radar picture with the warnings on it. And again, these two warnings will clear at 10:15, and then we're going to kind of ease into a newscast here. I'll let our producer, Marissa, tell me how we want to handle this going forward. Obviously, lots of you in the northern part of the tri-state here under the gun as these strong winds continue to move out and to the east. But the storm itself, losing some of its definition. It was very, very focused there at first, and now it's kind of fanning out a little bit. Doesn't mean it's not capable of producing damage, but it seems to be losing some of its punch. Let's check out our lightning strikes. And now we have a new warning. This one just came there just as I touched the screen, and that's for northern Warwick County. So basically along and either side of Interstate 64. And that's what that siren is behind us. So let's get the information on that on the screen for you. And that warning along I-64, northern Warwick County, will continue until 11 o'clock. And the same things apply here. We're talking about damaging wind potential and also very heavy rain and possibly some hail. That goes for Gibson, Pike, Posey, Vanderburgh, and Warwick counties, but it's an extreme northern edge. Now, a lot of times when we get a warning here for Vanderburgh County, if it touches any part of the county, all the sirens go off. And I want to emphasize that at least right now, and probably for the remainder of the evening, we're not expecting any of this to venture down into Evansville. It would surprise me now if we even saw rain in the city limits. But right out there along the county line, along Interstate 64, in particular, and then north is where we have some real trouble right now with some damage reported at Mount Carmel and multiple touchdowns of a tornado possible there. We've got the interceptor headed out in that direction. Obviously, the storms have cleared now and are moving to the east, so it's safe to get him into position up there. We got Brady and Josh heading up Highway 41 for you. The other thing I'm looking at will be the potential here for a warning in Du Bois County, but let's take it one at a time here. So we're going to go back to our storm tracking tool, and I'm going to do this off of the wind data because that gives us a clearer picture of where we have the strongest winds. And first of all, just to give you an idea of how strong these winds are, as we look at some of this information here on the screen, between Princeton now and Francisco, still showing the potential there for 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And then as we move on up I-69 here toward Petersburg, we're still showing pockets of 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, even down here around Fort Branch, which is very close in to the radar site, by the way, which means the radar's looking right at ground level, basically. We're showing winds of about 55 to 60. So I would look for tree and all kinds of damage up there in those areas along Highway 41 and now east toward I-69. I want to clear those numbers off and we'll go back to a storm track. If you're watching in Vanderburgh County, you hear the sirens, but again, this is just the extreme northern edge of the county. It'd be about North High School North, or Baseline Road, and then on up there into Interstate 64, then Hobstock right on the other side there, Fort Branch a little higher up as these storms move to the east at about 45 to 50. Let's try to get that to loop if we can. And what's interesting here is that wind really now starting to light up again as the storms pass to the east of the radar, which is right there in Owensville. Okay, I promised you storm tracks. Let's get some storm tracks going, and we'll start here on the northern edge. Again, strongest winds now entering into Davies County in southwest Indiana. A lot of these towns are in the path of potential 40 to 50 mile an hour, even 60 or 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Washington at 1118, our most populous city there. Lagodi, which is in Martin County, 1135. And then Henderson Falls at 1138 and Shoals at 1142, which would get it completely out of the region or almost. Then next down here, again, strong wind potential is what we're talking about here. Rogers at 1114, Waco 1125, Harbison 1135, and then Cuzco at 1143. That's Du Bois County that we're talking about. And then the winds that have now cleared Princeton and are kind of out toward Francisco along State Road 64 there will be moving into Oakland City here at 10:22. So about 8 minutes from now, less than 8. You got to get into your safe spot now if you're in those towns. Winslow 1031, Stendal at 1134. And then Selvin at 1038, Holland at 1141. Local times always here. And then finally, the southern flank of the storm, which is right down there near the truck stops and the pilot and all that stuff there at I-64 and 41. That'll be moving into Elberfeld at 1022, Hart at 1029, and then into Rolling Acres, Stendal, Tennyson, Holland as it goes to the east. So the interceptor is out. I don't know if we can take that live picture or not. I'm not exactly sure where he is, but it does illustrate very well how intense the rain is coming down right now. They are heading up, or we're heading up Highway 41, I would imagine toward Mount Carmel or Princeton to see what's going on. And you can see the wind blowing that rain across the road right now. So very low visibility. And I should point out too that that camera kind of exaggerates the speed that the interceptor is moving at. I know Josh is a safe driver, and Brady, of course, we want them to be safe out there in the interceptor, but really tough driving conditions out there this evening. Back to the radar we go, and we have all of this damaging wind potential moving across into the east. Let's do a little tighter work here. We're going to clear off all those storm tracks, and what I want to do now is look here right around the eastern edge of Gibson County. So there's Princeton, but we're really looking more at Oakland City, trying to predict here. It's coming in on Oakland City right now. We're going to go to a live view, and then I'm going to look at whether we have any lofted debris. And there really isn't a convincing return in here, perhaps a couple little spots. Very hard to tell based on that data, but it's certainly not beyond the pale that we would have some leaves and limbs and things like that being cast about by the wind. So right now, the folks that need to be in shelter, Oakland City, all the way down to Barton Township here, Mackay, Buckskin, all those spots along I-69, you need to be prepared to move to shelter and stay there. And then, of course, everybody we've mentioned in Pike County right now also needs to be in a safe place as this storm moves in. Our tornado warnings have cleared for Knox County up there, but we're still talking about significant winds moving across southwest Indiana right now. And as we get the interceptor into position, we hope to have some more information for you from them. Let's go back and see if we have any additional storm reports. We have several. What do you have?
I was going to say, if you want to, Brady can hear you, so they're heading towards Mount Carmel to see if they can check out some of the damage at the high school. But he can hear you, so if you want to ask him questions about what he's seeing, he's able to tell you. Maybe they can bring up what he's seeing.
Okay, well, we can just look at that picture. So we're going to go to Brady Williams and Josh Luca, who are now on the way to Mount Carmel. Where are you now, Brady? And looks like you pulled off the road there. It looks like the going is too tough. What's up?
Brady, we can't hear you.
Check our microphone. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Little louder? Okay.
Okay.
What are you seeing?
Little louder? Yeah?
You're good. What are you
go
seeing?
ahead, Brady.
So we're seeing lots and lots of rain right now. So coming down in sheets. we really had to pull over to the side of the road because it's not just the rain, it's the wind. And it's also other drivers. You can see folks are going past us, but, you know, these pair of cars just ahead of us just put on their hazards as well. We're really getting pushed all around the road here. Josh and I did not feel comfortable continuing like some of these folks are. It is still hard. We are south of Princeton about 10 minutes or so. We're on our way to Mount Carmel. We do want to check out some of the damage to the high school there. But for now, we're just going to stick this out because it is way too intense here.
So Brady, are you on Highway 41 pointing north? Are you past 64?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
we are past 64. We passed that about 10 minutes ago.
all right,
Okay.
so stay safe up there. Let's go back to the radar and compare that. Obviously, you saw the picture there, and we have a couple of new reports now that have come in for hail, but also some wind damage reports. This one near Crossville, and we have trees and power lines down there. That report came in almost an hour ago, but it's just now populating here on the screen. Our hail reports were from earlier today. As we go back to the radar picture now, where we just saw Brady and Josh, they are between not quite to Princeton right now, and as we go into the next, if they can ride it out there for about 10 more minutes, the heaviest rain will be past, and things will be a lot safer then to get out and drive. So let's get right back into that area. And again, here's Princeton, Fort Branch, so you have Highway 41 coming up like that. Very heavy rainfall, and as he showed you there, that wind also really intense there, coming off of the highway and moving to the east. Some of the gusts in here. Now, one of the things about just pointing at pixels here is you can't get much precision here at the chroma key screen, but you know, we have a spread there of 30 to 70 mile per hour winds, and in looking at the pictures, those are at least 45 to 50 that we're seeing from the interceptor now as he waits out the storm there to the south of Princeton. And within this storm, we also have winds all the way up the line now coming across I-69 at about that speed. And that's going to be strong enough. Some of these big trucks that you just saw go by the interceptor there, if they're out in the open area, they're going to be at risk of blowing around or even blowing over because sometimes within these things, you'll get a little pocket of even stronger winds than what I'm able to show you here on the radar. Let's look right up here, and I'm going to go between Fort Branch and Elberfeld, and you see these very bright yellows in here. That's where we have our strongest wind return showing up right now. As something probably in here on the order of maybe, you got these little pockets of even stronger winds. That would be along 41 now to the east, coming up on I-69. So it's not over yet, especially if you're down here in Elberfeld. Barton, you need to be protecting yourself right now, getting into shelter and staying there until we give the all clear for you. To do a track on this, we're going to look to the east at about 45 to 50. I need a little water here. Excuse me. And we're looking at arrival time there at Wheatonville at 10:25, Greer at 10:28, Spurgeon at 11:41, and Stendal at 11:49. Again, the strongest winds now moving across. Our tornado watch will continue here until 11. And conditions certainly favorable, obviously, for damaging winds, but perhaps for a few more spin-up type tornadoes within the line. Then farther north here, you have Somerville, 10:32 arrival time, so 10 minutes from now. Spurgeon at 11:40 and Winslow at 10:49. And then we'll just kind of bring the cone back around there to pick up the other edge of Gibson County. Oakland City, 10:37. Coe at 11:41. Winslow at 10:47 as well. And that's all of the information that we have. Now, we picked up a significant amount of rain in some spots here just in the last hour, especially between Fort Branch and Owensville. So if you're trying to drive in this, especially on some of these side roads like, well, 168 is not a side road, it's a state highway, but you know what I mean, some of the lesser traveled roads, there could be some flooding out there too as we get these storms to continue to cycle through. We'll check real quick for flood warnings. I don't think we have had any, at least I've not heard any here since we've been on the air with our coverage. The focus has really been more on the damaging wind threat that is now moving into Pike County and eastern Gibson County. We're going to go back and check out all the warnings here and just kind of give you an idea of what to expect here over the coming hour or so. Our warning for northern Vanderburgh County, Warwick, Gibson, southern Gibson, and Posey counties will go until 11 o'clock. So that's still about 35 minutes on that warning. But basically, the worst part of it has exited Posey County. You'll probably see that one redefined here in just a couple of minutes. We'll clear that one off. And then the only other warning we have is up here for Pike County and Gibson, and that goes until 11:30. That would be 10:30. It's taking into account Pike County there in the eastern time zone. So we'll clear all of that off and then get a little wider view here. Again, the Evansville area really not in the action here tonight, other than you can see that lightning off to the north there if you've looked outside lately. But that's about it. The lightning strikes have been very frequent in conjunction with the areas that are producing the heaviest rainfall right now. Lightning strike count, we're just going to look basically across the central swatch there of Gibson County. We've had 51 cloud-to-ground strikes in the last 10 minutes. So these are highly charged storms that are also producing the wind and the very heavy rainfall and some hail. Not a lot of hail reports tonight versus what we had earlier today. In fact, if we go back and look just at hail, I was showing you magenta areas, which would indicate a much higher probability of hail. Those have kind of fizzled out. So that may indicate that the storms have lost a lot of that quality where they can produce large hail. And we'll do a quick slice here of the storm. Again, in 3D, we're looking at how tall they are, and I'm going to show you this over time. So the top of the strongest returns on the radar, which would be the red that you were seeing there, if we loop it in time, and of course we can't go back more than about 30 minutes here, but the storms are getting shorter, if you will, and the shorter they are, then height-wise, the less probability you have of them producing severe weather. But it's during that transition from mature to weakening storm that we can get these outflow wind gusts and very strong to severe winds across the area. Southern Illinois, you can go to bed now. It is completely cleared out. We still have some rain falling, of course, in Lawrence and Wabash counties, but to the east of you, that's where the action is right now. Our severe thunderstorm warnings are going to go here for about another 30 minutes, and then hopefully we can kind of shut down here and let everybody back to their regular programming and everything else. Jackie, you've been looking over some of the news information we have. What do you have?
Well, I was trying to figure out how to show you these pictures. We've got some damage report already from Poseyville, 955. This highway headed out of town. There was a power line that's barely hanging on, trees down on Main Street, and also a large tree down. This one came from Alicia Jones in Griffin, Indiana. Huge tree across that street. I'm going to try and figure out how to get this image up so we can show the rest of our viewers, and also to remind you, if you happen to have damage outside your home, the storm has passed and it's safe for you to snap that picture and you want to send it to us. It's easy to do. You hop on our app and you can send in that photo. That way you can also send it to newsdesk@14news.com or go to our website, 14news.com, scroll down about halfway and you can see the See It, Share It link.
That's right, and that's on our webpage. Just navigate down, touch the 3 bars up there, look for Send Us Your Photos or Videos, touch on that, and then you'll see a green area here. If you touch on that, you can then upload your pictures and video and send them over, and all of them are posted on there, so you can kind of see what your friends and neighbors have been experiencing today with these storms. We had a siren go off there. That is a new severe thunderstorm warning, but this is going to carry it pretty much out of the viewing area here back to the northeast. It will be for northern actually for northern Davies and Martin counties. And then, of course, our other tornado, our severe thunderstorm warning for Gibson and Pike will continue until 10:30. And I believe the one here along Interstate 64 goes until 11 o'clock. So we still have some time to go here to get these storms either weakened or out of the viewing area. They have, as you know, have produced some damage across the region, including tornado damage potentially, or wind damage up at Mount Carmel. That is our only tornado damage report at this time. And as we had on there a little while ago, now remember this report came in at 9:36, so almost an hour old, but there was damage reported to the high school, and we have a lot of trees down in the city, and they are checking right now on homes and that. It looks like we have the access now to our pictures, Jackie, so where do you see them?
So this was the one I was telling you about in Poseyville, where we have a pole hanging at an angle and the wire barely hanging on. And I wanted to scroll down a little bit too and show you this one. This one was in Griffin, Indiana, quite a large-sized tree down in the street. And we also have had a report of a trailer flipped in Mount Carmel, and so we're trying to get an address verified on that. We do have Brady Williams headed toward the high school, where we've had an official report there of some damage. The degree of damage, we don't know. We haven't had eyes on yet, but and a quick reminder too, it's so important to capture these images if you can after the storm has passed your home. We want to make sure that you're able to capture them safely before you try to do that. But then once it's time to send it in, it's really easy. You head to 14news.com, click down to see it, share it, and Jeff can show you more on that.
Okay, thanks, Jackie, for that update now from the news desk. Of course, we have Brady Williams and Josh Luca heading up toward Mount Carmel right now. It's if we take that picture live, I don't know if we can. Thanks, Caleb. We've got the interceptor moving into, it looks like Princeton right now, or very close to. And the rain is slackening a little bit. It's certainly not coming across the road in sheets and torrents as it was earlier. That kind of looks like he's close to the Toyota plant there on the right. It's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, and there's the underpass. So I believe that's where he is, if he's not already at the State Road 64 Cloverleaf. He is not there. He's just to the north of the Toyota plant based on, I've seen that a million times, so I think that's where he is right now, which would put him about 20 minutes from Mount Carmel. So as we get a little closer in, of course, he will be live there, and we will let you know what the situation is in Mount Carmel. But based on what the weather has been showing us all evening here, it's not going to surprise me to see some damage up there, a lot of it, trees and roofs and things like that. As Jackie told you, a trailer flipped. We have damage at the high school and many other areas. So that's what's going on in Illinois. The good news is Illinois is in the clear. The strongest part of all these storms has now shifted to the east of almost I-69. So let me go back up here to the north, and we're going to just track a little bit more here. Starting with the wind data first. I always like to get an idea of what we're talking about wind-wise. Now, we are farther away from the radar, so these winds are being sampled or taken from a higher portion of the storm. The farther away we get, the higher up the radar beam is slicing through. And the importance here is that the numbers I'm showing you aren't necessarily what's happening on the ground, like 117, probably not near the ground at this point, but close enough that some of that can mix down, and we could be talking about some damaging wind gusts there. That would be up around, north of Elberfeld there in Mackay-Buckskin, that general area there of southeastern Gibson County. And so the wind is still kind of showing up here in this line as it moves to the east. And so knowing that, let's do a track on that part of the storm. So we're going to start here at Winslow and go to the east. These are all moving at about 50 miles an hour. Or the wind, I should say, the line of wind is moving to the east at 50. And that means Ireland at 1142, Jasper at 1146, Harbison at 1152, Celestine, now we're talking about Du Bois County there, at 11:56, and Cusco right at midnight local time, 11 o'clock Evansville time. Farther down, we have other towns here that are going to be picked up, including Holland, again, Du Bois County, 1141, Huntingburg, 1145, Ferdinand, which is on the southeastern side of Du Bois County, and also had large hail earlier today. That storm will arrive sometime in the neighborhood of 11:55 to midnight, and then Celestine at 11:58. And one final swatch here, and this one will kind of cover that southern edge of the storm. Now we're looking at Selvin, which would be in Warwick County, Dale, northern Spencer County, Mariah Hill over in Perry County, Ferdinand, and then Huff as well. And so this whole area of wind will just kind of move right along and north of I-64 as it heads to the east there at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. The storms today that we had earlier this afternoon were very impressive in the way they were showing up here in 3D. They were up over 35 to 40,000 feet. Now what we're looking at, as we kind of sample this storm that's moving along I-64, you'll notice the tops of the storms are down. They're below 20,000, and they continue to weaken. And what we may be looking at here is storms kind of collapsing. And so you have this big gush of air that's cooled up here, comes crashing down to the surface and moves to the east. So a lot to think about here as we go into the next half hour or so. And Jackie, it looks like you're getting some more pictures there too from Darmstadt.
Yeah, that one was from Darmstadt. This one came to us from Moore Road looking toward I-64, and at first it was so dark, it looked like there was some cloud to ground, but then when the whole sky lit up, it was actually the top of a telephone pole. You'll see it off to the left here in just a minute. But brilliant flashes of lightning, and it was just as you described, Jeff. People in southern Vandenberg County, hearing the sirens, right? Because the northern part of the county was involved, and yet they themselves were not impacted, but looking to the north, you could certainly see the brilliant lightning, and there's evidence of it right there.
It's a front porch show, really,
it is, yeah.
for anybody that's south of I-64 here this evening. I wanted to show you the live picture again from the 14 First Alert Interceptor. We have Josh and also Brady headed toward Mount Carmel, where we know there's some damage there. They were on Highway 41. It looks like they still are, probably coming into Princeton here very soon, and then we'll make the turn to go west there on 64, State Road 64 on over into Mount Carmel. It looks like he's coming up on the Cloverleaf right about now, if I'm looking correctly. Maybe he's heading the other way. But in any case, we will have continuing coverage of the damage up there as we go into 14 News Sunrise tomorrow morning. Just as they drive along there, you can see the conditions have improved, which isn't saying much. It wasn't great to begin with. It was pretty hazardous there a little while ago, but now things seem to be leveling out just a little bit. Maybe I can read a road sign here and I can tell where they are at this point. Looks like he is, so he's making the turn now, or should be very soon, onto 64 to go toward Mount Carmel. So he's right in Princeton now, and we're not seeing damage to those big signs or anything like that. From that turn in this weather, still about 10 to 15 minutes away from Mount Carmel, assuming they can get in. And maybe we can open Brady's mic there. I'll give him a little head start here. I know they're probably looking at information to try to figure out where to go and so forth. But Brady, if you can describe how the trip has been since we talked to you last, what's the situation there in the 14 First Alert Interceptor as you head west on State Road 64 toward Mount Carmel? Okay, I don't think we have Brady on there just yet, and that's fine. We can kind of just watch the picture here as they head over. Still lightning, even though the storms, the worst part is now to the east, you're still going to get some lightning and rumbles of thunder here for the next hour or two until the rain finally works itself out of the picture, which it will pretty soon. Let's go back over to Jackie now. We have more of your pictures and videos coming in.
Actually, this one was actually a message to Brady, too, in a little direction as he heads into Mount Carmel. We're getting a report now of a trailer turned over near the Mount Carmel baseball park, which is right near the railroad track. So I'm not sure if that's on the same side of town where they're coming in. But if they're looking for places to go, that's something else we'd like them to check out. Reports of a trailer tipped, and I'm not sure if this means like a semi-trailer or like a trailer home, but it just says a report of a trailer near Mount Carmel Baseball Park, which is near the railroad tracks.
Okay, very good. So hopefully they are getting all that. He just passed the Walmart there and is heading now to the east along State Road 64. And okay, I think Brady is on right now. So Brady, can you kind of describe what you've been seeing and experiencing here on this trip to Mount Carmel?
Yeah, so basically right after Interstate 64, excuse me, that's where a lot of the heavy stuff started for us. If you were watching then, we did have to pull up to the side of the road. It just wasn't safe to be out there like that. It was still coming down in sheets by the time we took off again. You come to our shot a couple of times. By Toyota in particular, it was really rough. It's definitely cooled off here. It's still pouring, but it's not coming down in torrents. There's still lots and lots of lightning activity. But the good news is the wind has definitely died down. We haven't been getting bullied by that quite as much as we were. So now it seems to be a lot smoother than it was. But for the longest time there, it was pretty stop and start. Just about every car on the road had their hazards on, trying to keep things safe.
And Brady, I've noticed too, as you're driving along here, there are a lot of small limbs and leaves and stuff like that in the roadway. Of course, you're going to enter into a spot here along 64 that's heavily wooded, so be on the lookout for limbs down there, maybe not over the road, but up to the edge. That'll be kind of hard to see there in the dark. Wind-wise, how would you estimate the winds? I know that's kind of a hard question. Was it rocking the car? Were the trucks swerving? What was going on when the wind peaked?
Definitely rocking the car. I'd say honestly it was pushing us side to side throughout the lanes, and as well as with the trucks. I saw a lot of them. A gust would come through and all of a sudden they'd turn on their hazard lights. They'd hit their brakes, and you could tell they were definitely being hit by some of that. We were definitely getting bullied. The Interceptor isn't that high off the ground, but it was pushing us side to side. If you'll excuse us, this flashing light here, there's actually a police officer. I think they're pulling someone over. So hopefully that's a case of the wind pushing someone side to side, nothing worse. But yeah, wind has been a big factor here for us, but that has definitely calmed down.
Right, and just take it slow and easy there. I know Josh will. As you get into Mount Carmel, there may be power lines down and power out, as well as areas closed off there. And there's always some nut job that will fly by you like that when it's raining like this. That drives me crazy. But anyway, that's for another show. Let's go back to the radar picture right now. And what we still have are a handful of warnings now just over our northern edge of the tri-state here, north of I-64, and now quickly east of Interstate 69. So we're mainly talking about Pike County in particular and Du Bois County yet to come. That's the only other county that hasn't been warned that these storms have yet to traverse, and they will over the next 40 minutes or so based on their motion. We'll do a little distance measuring here, and the lead edge of that storm should cross Jasper and Du Bois County in about a half an hour. They're moving not quite 60 miles an hour, but close to that. And then up here to the north, more toward Martin County there, up by Hayesville, 19 miles across. That's the distance that we're talking about. And we're going to clear that off and look at our wind data. And we're still seeing some pretty intense wind now right along the Pike and Du Bois County line. So that would be Ireland, Otwell on either side here, still showing a loft. Now this would be about 2,000 feet off the ground, give or take, winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Some of that could be reaching the ground as well. And as we showed you earlier, if we do a storm track on that, we can tell you that the strongest wind should be into downtown Jasper there by about 11:47 local time. So it is about 5 minutes from now. Cusco at midnight. Local time, again, French Lick then, and now we're into Orange County in English, but that would be out of our viewing area. And the winds are kind of consolidating now just within that warning. Even northern Warwick County here, where we did have some stronger winds earlier, seems to be dying down just a bit. We had big hail in Dale earlier today too, but still, 40 to 50 mile an hour winds on top of everything else that's happened today could still bring some tree limbs down and cause some problems out there wherever you happen to be watching us from right now. Let's go back to all of our storm reports. No new ones have come in from Pike County just yet. We do have some more wind reports now. Power out, possible roof damage there in Fort Branch, and that report came in about 40 minutes ago. And as I've mentioned before, sometimes they lag a little bit between when they come in to the Weather Service and when they actually post here. Another interesting thing to look at is our temperatures. Now, we have bumped back up to 81 in Evansville. I'm not sure if that's an accurate number or not, although it hasn't rained here, so it's still pretty warm and muggy. 75 at Jasper now, but check out Mount Carmel over there, where we've had, of course, rain and storms. The temperature now down to 69, and actually that 81 may be valid. 80 at Owensboro, 79 at Henderson. We have a warm front that is lifted north, so the air is going to be really soupy overnight. Some patchy fog possible in the morning, and then really hot tomorrow afternoon. We should see high temps near 90 with a feels like temperature of about 95 to 98 tomorrow during the day. And this rain-soaked area up here will be particularly oppressive as that sun hits the damp ground and warms everything up. Let's see what our lightning situation is right now. And we have had a number of strikes here showing up. I'm just going to look at one area of the lightning strikes now. We're just kind of get a count for what's happening up there. And as we do that, we're going to just basically survey that entire region from Vincennes down to Princeton over to almost Jasper and Washington. And in the last 10 minutes, we've seen 115 cloud to ground strikes. Now, these don't include the ones that go from cloud to cloud. So there's a lot more lightning appearing than is hitting the ground, which is a good thing. But the storms are certainly lighting up the sky. I know, Jackie, you've been looking at a lot of interesting videos and pictures there from some of our viewers. What are you seeing now?
We just received a whole new batch of them. Let me just roll back here a moment. This one comes from Eddie in Mount Carmel. This is a tree that's near the high school, and I don't know if you can tell based on the amount of damage here what this type of wind could do to structures, Jeff, but when we get Brady closer towards the school, we're going to be able to see firsthand through their cameras. This one comes to us from Fort Branch, and so you can see the rain and the wind there, and the wind grabbing hold of a lot of those leaves and whatnot. She'll turn her camera to the left in just a moment, and you can see, let's see, she steps out. Oh, it's over. Let's see, replay that one. Nope. Okay, let's go down one more. Oh, that one has a language warning. We're not going to play that one live on the air. I have not checked it. Let's check this one. This one comes from Princeton, Indiana. Okay. I wish we could turn up the like the gain on this so we could see better. You can see more when the lightning lights up the sky.
That's one of the big problems the storm spotters have at night, of course, is being able to see. And oftentimes a tornado will appear where the lightning is most frequent. And oftentimes, like the Crossville tornado several years back, same thing. It was illuminated by lightning, and that's how it was. It was showing on radar, but to see it on the ground, there were very few pictures because it was so difficult to see. But yeah, that's a good picture there.
When it flashes, you can see so much more, but it's so short-lived. We are getting a report of a lot of power outages, by the way, in Mount Carmel. And so, if those wires are down and across the road, that is certainly not a safe situation. And in darkness like this, it'd be even harder to see. So that's also something to keep in mind for our crew that's out there and for anybody else who may have to travel. Be wary of that.
Yeah, and if you have down power lines, that's a call to 911. If you have a tree down that's not causing a safety issue, like it's not over a road or it hasn't hit a building, that's not a call to 911. That's a call to a tree trimmer tomorrow. But we try to limit those calls to the EMA and Central Dispatch when we have storms like this. There you can see that rain just going in sheets across. Was this Mount Carmel?
This one was not. This one was, I have to exit out of it to see it real quick. This was Fort Branch. And so this was about 40 minutes ago that it was posted. So she would have recorded it shortly before then.
Okay, that makes sense. And again, for viewers that might just now be watching or wondering how they can get their pictures to us and their stories and videos, the easiest way and quickest way, so Jackie can see it right here on the air, is to go to 14news.com. Once you're on our webpage, go up here to the three bars and just navigate to the Send Us Your Photos and Videos. Once you click on that, you will get a screen that looks like this, and you just add your picture or your video there, and then it will appear down here in our galleries, so you can look at what other people have submitted and kind of get an idea for how the storms affected the area earlier today and now tonight. Our warnings here, we still have a few more minutes to go on our warning along Interstate 64. Let's get a quick reset here on all the active warnings that are going now in the northern part of the county. Okay, we just cleared the one along I-64, so we are down now to just the one here in Pike County, and that warning will continue, I believe, until, we'll have to get it here officially, until 11 o'clock. So about 11 more minutes on that one, and then our severe thunderstorm warning here in Du Bois County also goes until 11 o'clock. So it looks, Jackie, like about 10, 12 minutes from now, we should be able to switch back over to NBC programming. Of course, our crew's still working out there in Mount Carmel to get us some information. Hopefully, we will have a live picture from Josh and Brady.
Actually, we're having trouble with the signal. Now that they've crossed over into Mount Carmel.
They lost their signal.
Lost the signal, yeah.
Yeah, and oftentimes, of course, they're relying on the cell phone towers to get the video back. So we'll check in with them hopefully here in a couple minutes. He may be able to get a text out, but not get an actual full video feed for us. But just two warnings left now in this very stormy evening here across the tri-state. Our tornado watch will clear at 11 o'clock as well, so that is also some encouraging news. And let's go back to all of our reports. We have no new reports that have come in this evening. These are all hail reports from earlier today. And just to recap some of those, if you haven't seen the pictures, they are on 14news.com. We had baseball, literally baseball-sized hail at Cannleton earlier today down in southern Perry County. We had inch diameter hail there at Birdseye, and we also had some 1.3 inch diameter hail, which would be almost $half size there at Oil, which is right on the Crawford-Perry County line in the east. And then closer to the Evansville area, we had 1 inch diameter hail or quarter-sized hail up at Hobstadt. And we'll go back to the home view here because we had a number of reports in southern Illinois as well. Those had more to do with wind than anything else. And as we look at those, we had a wind gust up here in Lawrence County earlier today of 65 miles an hour. And then we had large hail reported in downtown Vincennes there in Knox County. Sam Severs actually reported that one to me after it happened there. That storm came in around 6 o'clock. Of course, we've talked about our tornado information, and that's where we have Josh and Brady headed right now. They are probably in Mount Carmel. Hopefully they'll be able to get some sort of signal or report back to us here before we sign off. But there was damage to the high school and a lot of damage around town. And
what we're seeing here
Okay, and our producer is relaying a text to me. So Jackie, why don't you tell us what you're looking at there, and I'll get the information from Brady.
Okay, a couple of things. This one is from Princeton, and I can't tell if the audio is going out over the air. So if it is, if you're hearing any audio, Caleb or Dan, could you bring that down? This was 10:15 in Princeton. You see a ton of movement in the trees and also the rain picking up. I did want to also convey some of the outages that we've had reported. Duke Energy has several. Let me see if I can update this real quickly. And I don't know if I can take this full. I cannot take this full. Okay. Shoot. Let me go down here like this. Okay. We have about 1,000 people reporting power outages. This would be in, okay, so this is in the Poseyville area, just north of 64. Up by Owensville, we have about 840 people out of power, 72 in Princeton, and over here in Oakland City, we have just over 200 people out of power. We can't get returns across the river in the Wabash yet. That's a totally different system, so we're working to find those outage numbers.
Okay.
We expect those to be much higher.
Okay, good deal. And Marissa tells me now that Brady and Josh are safe, but there are tree limbs and debris on the bridge leading into Mount Carmel. And of course, as you mentioned, once they got in, we're not able to get a video signal out of there. We are getting some text information from them. And of course, they're gathering the story, and that will be fresh on 14 News Sunrise tomorrow morning, starting at 4:30. Our warnings here just have a couple more minutes to go, about 7 minutes. We will continue to see thunderstorms or thunder and lightning here at least for another hour or two, but it looks like the storms definitely have exited southern Illinois and are now moving through Vincennes, Knox County, but also weakening up there as well. And just as a double safety measure here, we're going to look at these storms up a little closer, and this is between Vincennes down to Decker here along Highway 41. First thing I want to do is look at the cross-sectional view and see kind of what the structure is looking like. And again, we're basically looking at the whole storm, right? Almost like a drone flying around it. And what I'm looking at here and want to direct your attention to is the height. So earlier this evening, these were up at about 35,000 feet. They have started to kind of settle down a little bit. And as we kind of explore around this storm, one other thing that kind of leaps out is you still kind of have this overhanging structure, which would indicate updrafts going in still, and then out here in the front is where you would have the wind coming down to the surface and then fanning out, which is sometimes that shelf cloud would be out in here. So again, as we continue to fly around, we're going to go back here. We don't want to get too disoriented, but also want to look at what's coming our way. And so now we're looking at the storm as if we were east of it, looking back to the west. And again, you can see these tall structures within the storm itself, but only up to about 20,000 feet. So the fact that we're losing some height in these storms is a positive thing. That means that we are finally getting them a little more under control here. We're not going to be seeing hopefully any additional development. The storms ahead of them have kind of taken the energy out of the atmosphere. So the main thing that will happen here, we'll get some beneficial rain, much of the tri-state about 2 inches behind the normal amount of rain for this time of the year, for the month of May. And also, as the storms weaken, then the severe threat goes away too. Let's get some rainfall estimates up there, and I'm going to use a 6-hourly look here. So we're going back from, 11 o'clock, so from 5 to now. And around Vincennes, we had some spots that picked up close to 2 inches of rain. Same thing here for Princeton, Fort Branch. Some of that rain fell, within 1 hour as it came through this evening, and then across Petersburg and out toward Otwell. Some of those roads will flood, especially as you head out toward Otwell. 1.4, about 1.5 inches of rain, and then into Davies County, closer to 2 inches. Again, this is just estimated rainfall out there too. And as I mentioned earlier, our temperatures, big differential there between the north where we've had rain, as you'd expect. It's cooled into the mid-60s, 73 at Jasper. You compare that with temperatures down here where it hasn't rained much today, and we are still at 80 degrees here, or 81 at 10 o'clock at night. So we still have some pretty strong advection or wind coming up from the south at 20 miles an hour. So that's just like feeding this tropical air into the system, and that's what's enabling that heavier rainfall back to the north, up there around the other counties there to the north of I-64. So lots to look at here, but the good news is these warnings are going to clear in just a couple of minutes, and then we'll leave you alone for the rest of the night. We're going to go back over here to Du Bois County. The storm has now cleared Jasper and is moving out now more toward Birdseye down here in the southeast. Celestine, Cuzco, Kellerville, and places like that moving off to the east at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. And a quick check of the wind data is also showing that gust front or strong wind line now has cleared downtown Jasper. So that is definitely some good news at this point in the evening. Let's see if any other reports have come in here just since we've been talking. And sometimes these are take a while to get back. Folks don't see the damage or report it immediately, but it will come in. We do have a new hail report that just popped in down here, and that's not new at all. That came in today at 1, but late report, obviously. At Santa Claus, we had hail that was almost 2 inches in diameter. That happened this afternoon around 2 o'clock. So really some impressive storms out here today, and they are winding down, so we should be wrapping up here in just a couple of minutes as our warnings clear. I'm going to stick around if we have any additional warnings. I'm not anticipating that, but we will keep an eye on things for you. I'll be right back on the air if necessary. Our newest warning now covers just the eastern edge of Du Bois County and then goes on over here into Orange County there to the east. So let's get the latest information on that newest warning, and that's the siren you're hearing behind me too, the warning that was just issued for eastern Du Bois County. I think we're going to have to do it this way to be able to see it, and it is in addition to the one that was issued before, if that makes sense. So we'll try to get, there we go. And that one's going to go for another half hour. Okay. Oh, we do have a live picture now from Brady Williams. Yeah, okay, yeah, hey, let's go to Brady right now then, here at almost 11 o'clock at night. For those of you watching, we've been tracking these storms for an hour and a half. Brady, what are you seeing up there in Mount Carmel?
Oh, we're seeing a lot of things. We just had a huge streak of lightning come down, and then there's thunder rolling up above us. There's a car coming here, so we can't quite see it. I'm going to have Josh, I think, take the camera off the tripod. We've got a pontoon boat that is completely flipped over here. We're on South Market Street here in Mount Carmel. Okay, yeah, I'm going to cross the road. This is the corner of it, and it's just completely flipped. And if you actually take a look up this way, you can see they've got police cars there. They've got them up even further down the road to the left of the screen there. There are roads blocked off. People are being redirected. There's lots and lots of lightning and thunder, and this has obviously happened. So we're going to keep an eye out for more. Actually, there's more damage up here, Josh, if you want to take a look. This is some sheet metal from something that got ripped up. So we're going to be out here surveying a lot of damage, I think. You know, there's debris all throughout this parking lot that I'm seeing right now that you probably can't see too well on the camera with how dark it is. There's, you know, truck bed equipment, you know, crates that you would keep stuff in, like toolboxes. The whole siding along this baseball field that we're next to, there are bits of metal along there as well. So lots of stuff that we're going to be taking an eye, or keeping an eye on and taking a look at is what I meant to say. So we're going to head up the road here and see what's going on with these police, and we're also going to take a look at the high school when we get a chance here. But for now, we're just going to take some video of stuff around here, I think.
Okay, Josh, Great work, Josh. And Brady Williams up there, Josh Luca, Brady Williams, and the 14 First Alert Interceptor in Mount Carmel. And just to clear us up here with what's happening now, we have a warning, an additional warning just for that eastern fringe of Du Bois County, and that will continue until 12:30 local time, 11:30 Evansville time. And we go back to the home view now. What to expect here over the next hour or two, continued lightning in the north. The potential for another warning is certainly not down to zero just yet, but it is much lower than it was, say, an hour ago. So we're going to turn the programming now back to NBC, and we will have continuing updates this evening if necessary, and definitely on 14 News Sunrise starting at 4:30. Be safe out there, and we'll see you tomorrow.